Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel, Chasing 70 Degrees. My name is Travis, and in this video, I'm going to be doing a modification to my eCells e-bike that you've seen here, and sometimes you've seen it in the background of some of the other videos I've done when I've been working on my Jeep. Now, one of the great things about the e-bikes, I love the fatty tires, I love the fact that you can coast and just use the motors and propel yourself forward without having to pedal too much. And it came with a great set of panniers and a super nice rack in the back. However, there was no sort of basket for the front. And I think I might see why, right? So we've got sort of the console for the e-bike here, and this is the computer that gives you the outread of your speed and things like that. And space is pretty tight up here with the cabling harnesses that are coming into the brakes, and then they also feed this main system here. And I didn't want like a shopping cart on the front of the bike. And that's one of the things you'll see in some of the baskets that you can get. It's almost like adding a shopping cart onto the front of the bike. So I was looking for something, that wasn't that big, something I can maybe throw, some odds and ends into. And I actually found the perfect basket for me, right? And I'm going to give you an up-close image of this. I'll set it down over here on a box. We're going to take a look at each part individually. And so to be clear, none of the components that you see me installing today were given to me. I'm not sponsored by any of these companies. I went out and I bought these things on my own. And again, I just want to share my experience with these different accessories with you, right? So this is the Portland Design Works Takeout basket. Right, and I think the description, and I'll show you the description as well on Amazon, says you could put about a 6-pack in here. Like you could easily set a 6-pack in here, and it comes with this really nice sort of bag that straps in a number of locations, but it's not that large, right? And this is exactly what I was looking for. However, the problem is, as I said, you got this console here. There's no way to get this mounted with that console there and, all the wiring harnesses. And so for the Portland Design Works basket, I went out and I got the GUB bicycle handlebar extender. Now, the thought is that this is going to give me enough room to bring it out here, right? And I'll have basically another sort of handlebar out here that I could then mount this Portland Design Works takeout basket to this. And in addition to that, GUB also makes a really nice cell phone holder. So the Portland Design Works is going to have the brackets are going to be a little bit to the left and the right, and my idea is to set the cell phone holder kind of dead center so that I could have not only the computer readout of the e-bike, but that I can also see my cell phone, right? And if worse comes to worse and I can't get the cell phone on there, that's okay, because I've still got the Portland Design Works basket. I can just drop my phone into the basket. All right. Again, I have affiliate links down below for all three of these components. And now let me go ahead and bring you in for a close-up of each of the three different components that we're going to be working with today. And then we're going to go ahead and see if we can't get it installed on the front of my eCells e-bike. All right, let's take a look at these things and see what we've got. All right, so here we are for a much closer in view. The first thing I'm going to talk about here is the GUB bicycle handlebar extender. I went ahead and got the carbon fiber version, and if I was to measure this out, I think it says it's like 200 millimeters or something like that, but in units, it's just 8 inches, right? So it's 8 inches long, and the preliminary measurements that I did, I think that this is going to be enough to do what I need to do. You can see here we've got the 2 brackets that we're going to be using to tighten that carbon fiber extender to the handlebars on this side, and the carbon fiber extender is going to go through the smaller holes there and hopefully give us enough surface so that we can get our Portland Design Works basket on there. Again, if I was to measure the basket out for you, and remember, it comes with this bag here, right? It's a really nice, it's almost kind of like a wet bag, right? It kind of folds down and then opens up. So, if you wanted to use it to kind of maybe protect something to keep in here, you could do that. And it's got multiple clips that wrap around the bars of the basket. But let me move this out of the way right now, just for the time being here, so that we can take a look at this, because I want to make sure that I accurately portray the size of this. So it's 9.5 inches wide by just over 9, well, actually almost exactly 9 inches. So it's like 9 inches by 9 inches, but we'll say, you know, going across, it's about 9.5, a little more than 9.5. Right? So again, as I said, I didn't want this to be like a shopping cart on the front of the bike where I'm trying to carry everything I own inside this basket. I just wanted it for some quick stuff. Now, another cool feature that I'm hoping you're going to be able to see here is there's this little sort of eyelet here that you know, goes straight through, and it looks like you could probably attach some kind of a lock through here, like a cable lock of some kind. And again, it's probably not going to stop the wiliest of thieves, but it's simply going to be a deterrent. And one of the coolest things about this is I love the woodwork here. There were some comments when I was researching baskets and which one I was going to get, and people didn't like this. You can take it off, right? It's got just these 2 screws here. But I got to tell you, I really, really like the wood look. So maybe it's a California thing. I was born and raised in California, so maybe that's why, you know, I kind of dig that woody looking feature there in the front. And then finally, and this is going to be a, you know, a very nice to have, but again, it's another gub device, and this is a cell phone holder. Now, my plan is to hopefully be able to fit my phone in here, and it says +6, and this thing does open up out to, it says 100 millimeters, so it'll go as small as 55 millimeters, and then it doubles out to 100. So I'm recording with my phone, so I can't actually test it, and this is the first time I've busted it out of the box here. So the hope is that I'm going to be able to attach this device to the carbon fiber rod, that I'm going to have some space here centrally somewhere, and maybe it'll have to go off to the side, but to be able to get that on there so that I could at least keep my cell phone in front of me as well. All right, so these are the 3 parts, and the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get the carbon fiber extender installed along with the handles here to see if we're going to have room and to work around those cable harnesses. All right, so let's knock that out. All right, so here we are. And I have one on here already. I wanted to kind of line things up a little bit. And something I forgot to mention, installation tools. What do you need to do this installation? Well, all you need is a basic Allen wrench set, and I'm just using it size 3, right? So it's the size 3 is the one that I'm going to use to tighten down the screws that go into the gub handlebar extender. And I'm about 1.5 inches. And again, I'm straddling the bike, so I'm sorry if there's some movement here. I'm about 1.5 inches away from the console here. And another component that is going to be critical are the spacers that you probably saw when we did the close-up. There were the 4 little bags, and there were some really thick spacers, and then there were some that were a little thinner. Those are critical because I tried to put this on initially without the spacers to see if it would work. And the unit, the diameter of the gub, on this side is just simply too big to tighten anywhere on the handlebars. So the spacers have to go in there. So here we are. I've got it, like I said, it's over about 1.5 inches, and it kind of feels nice and snug. And I want to start somewhere where it is snug. And then now I'm just going to go ahead and using my Cobalt Allen wrenches here, let's go ahead and tighten this down a little bit and see if we get a good fit. And I can feel the screw coming through on the other side in here. If I was to turn it a little bit, you might be able to see a little bit better. And I'll worry about leveling this in just a second. So I want to focus right now on just getting this tightened down. And yeah, I can feel the screw has definitely come through. There's definitely some grab there. And man, wow, those things are on there. Okay, so this is really on there. Really nice and tight. I've still got a few turns to go here to tighten this up. And again, we're going to be putting a basket and an iPhone out there, so we want to make sure. And there we go. And that's about as tight as I'm going to take it. And that is really, really snug on there. So now if I come about 1.5 inches out over here, it's going to be kind of right by the X here. And so now I'm going to show you what had to be done. So again, this is the handlebar side, And I've already kind of loosened this up enough so that I can spin it out here. And you just basically unscrew it all the way until, let's keep going there, until it opens up, right? Until it opens up there. I'm going to set this right here in the hopes that it doesn't fall. And now I'm going to talk about those spacers, because again, without the spacers, I was really, I did a little test run before I hit record, and I was like, tell me that this is going to fit. And it was actually the spacers that are going to make it happen. So the spacers, you just simply put those in right here. Now, you could put spacers in on the other side there, but I don't think it's going to be required. So we get the spacers in just like that. So now when it clamps down on the handlebar, and like I said, I'm about 1.5 inches off, and I'm coming in about as close as I can get before I kind of feel it sort of start to shut. So there it is right there, and that looks pretty good. And you can see the wiring harness is still below where we're at. So I'm really, really happy about that. So now let's see if I can't get, I'm trying to slide it over just a little bit more. I'm eyeing it up here, and it looks pretty even on this side as compared to this side here. So it looks pretty darn close. All right, so let's go ahead and see if we can't tighten this guy down now. And again, there's still a little space between this extender holder and the harness. I think that's going to change here in a second. It's not putting any pressure on the wiring harness, which is good. I want to avoid that at all costs. Again, I wouldn't want a basket to blow up my ability to ride the bike and have the bike function properly. And I'm probably going to have to loosen one of these guys up here. In fact, since I'm doing this one, I'll try to bring it back up a little bit, because I'd like to have a little upward tilt to it just so that the basket isn't sort of hanging down. So we're going to bring that up a little bit, and I might hit this with a level at some point later. And let me go ahead and torque it down here. And so now we've got it completely torqued down, right? And again, like I said, it looks really even. And so let's go ahead. We're going to pause here. I'm going to get the carbon fiber component, and we're going to get that dropped in here. And then we're going to find out just how much space we have to work with. So let me tighten this down a little bit more, and we'll make sure that we get that in there. All right, so that's good. So everything looks good here. So I'm going to go ahead and pause for a second, and let me grab the carbon fiber component, and we'll get that set in here. And then that's going to wrap up this phase of the install. All right, so here we are with the carbon fiber bar, and I've got the bolts loosened up over here pretty nicely. I'm going to see if I can get it to slide over far enough there so I can get both ends in, and I cannot. So let's try over this way to see if we can get it to slide through here. And what I may end up having to do is I may have to take one of these off. So let's real quickly, whoops. Oops, it kind of came off center there. All right, so let's get that back through. All right, so that looks pretty centered up, and it also looks level where it's sitting right there. And so the true test is going to be, remember those two brackets on the Portland Design Works basket are pretty close to each other. So there should be room enough in here for that basket to mount up right there. So let me tighten this back down, make sure that we are what seems to be level here, and thought I would have a little bit more room with which to work when we went to slot the carbon fiber rod through, but we needed to loosen up one of the ends just a skosh. All right, so there we go. I really want to torque this down here because this is the one that's going to keep this thing connected to the handlebars. All right, and then we're on the carbon fiber, and that feels good there. And now let's tighten it up over here. So again, we've got just about the exact same amount of bar kind of protruding from the holder here, so I'm happy with that. And then let's torque that down. And last one here, let's make sure we give this a couple extra turns. And that's actually on there really, really good. So again, those spacers were absolutely critical to the handlebar connection side. All right, well, this is in here, and I can almost lift the bike. I mean, the bike is really heavy, but I'm like almost able to lift the bike from here with this, and this is not moving at all. All right, so that takes care of the handlebar extender. Now let's go ahead and bust out the Portland Design Works basket and see what that looks like. All right, so we're back, and the reason it took me so long to restart is this is a two-person install on this as far as I'm concerned. I had to have my wife come out and give me an assist because there is no way to sort of hold these backers and the spacers, these shims that kind of slide into, this bracket here, but they don't stay in these backers, right? I mean, these things are moving left and right. I actually put a little drop of Gorilla Glue in the groove to kind of hold these two and this third one here into place. But again, I mean, I love the basket. The basket is absolutely beautiful. However, you know, be warned that this is definitely a two-person install to have some people helping you kind of hold things. And so here's what I'm going to do. I've got the bolts and the screws here, and you're also going to need just a pair of pliers, right, is what I'm using. Let me drop this out. Now, the instructions, and I thought this was interesting, the instructions show you to run the bolts through the back so that you've got sort of the screw in back here for the Allen wrench side over here. That's not going to work for me because, again, this console unit is here. I can't get the Allen wrench in there. And I don't know if I like, you know, and I'll show you, I'm going to bring you in for a close-up here. There's a good, it looks like about an inch of screw from probably like right about here out that sticks out. I don't know if I want that sticking out over here. So I'm going to have to bring these in from this side. You can see this is already moved a little bit, right? And I'm not a huge fan. I was hoping that those would be a little tighter when you slid it into the groove. However, we're going to make do with what we've got here. So I'm going to bring the Allen wrench side in from there. I want to make sure I keep all my wiring harness stuff out to the other side. And then we've got this screw here. And let me get this one installed through. All right, so now that that is through, let me go ahead and put a washer on the back here. And again, I cannot stress this enough. You're going to end up getting frustrated if you try to get this on here by yourself. It definitely required a second set of hands to assist. And like I said, the most frustrating part, and hold on here, I don't want to drop this other washer or screw. The most frustrating part are the shims, the spacers that they give you, which I definitely need because I'm putting it on this carbon fiber bar here. I need it to chew up that extra space on that carbon fiber bar. All right, so I haven't dropped anything yet, knock on wood. Let's cruise down here. I keep having to push this one wire out of the way. And let me drop this one in here and see if I can get the screw. I'm just trying to free up my right hand here so that I can then at least tighten one of these. And this is where the pliers are going to come into play. And so again, I've just got some vice grips. So for your Allen wrench, right, it's going to be size 4 for these. These are size 4. When we did the Gub handlebar extender, those were size 3. These are size 4. So again, this side's pretty torqued on right now. And I'm hoping that this is going to work. So again, and maybe we're going to learn that this is why it's a two-person hold. And I've got to switch hands here because I'm going to twist with my with my right, and I'm going to hold this bolt over here with the pliers with my left. And let's go ahead and get cranking here in the hopes that we can tighten this up so that the shim doesn't slip out or fall out, because that would be a disaster. And again, you can see, and I'll bring you in for a close-up, how much screw comes out the back side here. It's kind of crazy how much comes out. And so I'm going to move that out of the way. I'm going to grab the bottom here, and we're going to tighten the bottom up a bit. And so let me sneak around here. There we go. All right. I mean, there is just a lot of extra screw here. So let's get this going. It's tough to see around that there. All right, there we go. And I'm probably going to fast forward through this part for you so that you don't have to sit here and watch me fumble around with the Allen wrench. All right, so we've got this on here pretty tight. I'm going to give it a couple extra twists over here if I can manage. And we'll see what we've got there to hold that in place. All right, now I've given this sort of a little upward slant, right? So that it's kind of tilted like that because I don't want things, falling out of the front of it. So you can see here, we've got a little movement there. So, and I'm putting not too much pressure. Now it's definitely tight on here, and I think I'm going to need to tighten down the handlebar extenders just a little bit so that they're not spinning here. But again, I'd be able to get something in here easy. And now let's go ahead and see if I can get the phone holder right here, dead center, so that I could look at my phone or, have music going or whatever the case may be on this handlebar extender. All right, let's jump into the final phase here and see what we've got. All right, so here we are for the final installation phase. We've got the handlebar extenders on here on the eCells e-bike. That allowed me to get this very beautiful Portland Design Works takeout basket put on here. Again, I did not want a shopping cart on the front of the bike. And most of them are like super wide, super long, super deep. So we've got that on here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to finish things up, because I'd love to be able to put something, have my phone kind of sit like right here so I could see my phone, maybe to listen to some music with my AirPods in, whatever the case may be. And so we've got the Gub iPhone holder, and you can see this adjusts the width, and you can actually tighten that screw down as well to get it to sort of either loosen or tighten so that you can spin it around to change the orientation of the phone. So let's go ahead. And a quick note, it came with 2 sets of spacers. I have the fattest, thickest spacers that are in here because ironically, the Gub handlebar extender, you can't tighten it with the thinner spacers. It just does not work. And without spacers, it doesn't work at all. It was obvious that it wasn't going to tighten down. And you don't want your phone sort of flapping around in the wind. All right, so we've got this kind of oriented here. I'm going to very carefully drop this down. And while I'm doing this, another quick note that this unit came with the Allen wrench, whereas the other Gub handlebar extender unit did not. All right, so I like this, right? We've got a nice snug fit, and so I can already tell that this is going to be holding in place nicely once I torque this down. So let's get the screw through here, and let me reach behind. And again, they gave you an Allen wrench with this. I'm assuming one was supposed to come with the handlebar extender, but I'm just going to use my Cobalt kit because it's a little bit easier, and I get a much better grip on it. And we're definitely going to want to torque this down. And so I like this because this is probably half an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch above the main computer unit for the eCells e-bike. So it doesn't interfere with my view of the eCells e-bike. And I'm going to grab, I think, my wife's phone. She's not going to be happy about that, but I'm going to bring it out here and I'm going to set it in here so you can see what it looks like with the eCells console on and we'll have it kind of locked in here with these bars. And again, I'm getting some really nice, I can feel the grip here really tightening nicely around the handlebar extender. And I'm going to continue to torque this down here because we don't want any movement with the phone. All right, and that looks nice. I'm very happy with that. And yeah, I mean, I've got to put some force on it to get it to move there. So I am definitely okay with that. And it's actually sitting nicely right there. So now it's just a matter of, hey, let's get a phone, let's drop it in here, and let's see what that phone is going to look like when we have it attached. And here we've got it's rocking a little bit. So I think I might have maybe another turn or two. And that's actually about as tight as it's going to go. So again, and I'm okay with that because I'm not, jumping off cliffs and doing X Games type stuff on my e-bike. So, all right, so we're going to leave it right there. And let me go ahead and get a phone. Let's pop a phone in here. We're going to do a walk around of everything. I'm going to put the bag in, and we'll take a look and see what it looks like with the handlebar extenders, the carbon fiber rod, the Portland takeaway bag, Portland Design Works takeaway bag, and we'll drop a phone in here. All right, let's take it outside and see what it looks like. All right, so here we are for a final walk around of the installation of the components that we put on the eCells e-bike. And again, this is probably, universal. It would work for any e-bike. And I went ahead and did this project because I wanted a front basket. eCells didn't really have a front basket that was made specifically for this. And I wanted something small and not a shopping cart on the front, as I said. So here are the handlebar extenders that we put in along with the carbon fiber rod, and that comes with the extenders, right? So I mean, these are the units that extend it out, but the carbon fiber rod is what goes through. Here is that Portland Design Works basket that's 9.5 by 9, or 9 by 9 basically. I've got the bag inside here, as you can see as well, and it's got a clip that I run underneath, and then it comes up through this side, and we clip it together. It also has a clip here to hold it in, and it has a clip on the other side to hold it in. Another cool thing is this is probably big enough to drop down one of those sort of U-bolt locks that looks like a U and then has a bar that it plugs into. So that would probably sit right in here. And again, there's also that eyelet, which is right around over here, that you might be able to snake a wire or something through. And again, I really like this. I thought this was a great touch. Some people weren't too happy with it and removed it, but I definitely like the Portland Bike Works logo on the front there. And again, it's a great little basket that you can use for carrying some small things around, or maybe even a 6-pack. And the final thing we're going to take a look at, and let me go ahead and straddle the e-bike here, is how does it look with the control unit, right? I can still see, well, from my angle, I can see it. And let me bring the phone back here. So as I'm sitting on the bike, this is kind of what I'm seeing right here, right? As I've got my phone right here, I've got the control unit for the eCells e-bike, and this sits on here fine, right? And that's my, I had to grab my daughter's phone, and apparently she likes cats drinking martinis. So that's it, right? So that is going to do it for this video on kind of spicing up my e-bike front end a little bit here and getting a rack installed and getting an iPhone holder so that I can keep my iPhone with me as well and, listen to some music, check and see what time it is, take a call, whatever the case may be. All right, guys, as always, thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.